So I got a DM from a friend asking me if I would be interested in writing an op-ed about the recent frozen embryo ruling that went down in Alabama. And for those of you that may not be aware, really quick, so my husband and I were unable to get pregnant on our own. We had like a 3% chance of conceiving naturally. So we went to a fertility clinic, and because of my ovarian reserve and his sperm's mobility, it was best that we were encouraged to do IVF, which we ultimately did 2 rounds of IVF. The first one not working. The second one, we have our beautiful baby boy, Jimmy, who turns 3 next week, okay? So a few weeks ago, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos can be considered children under state law. And this could obviously have sweeping implications for fertility treatments in the state. So my friend and friend of the Bert Show, Mara Davis, hit me up, and she goes, I know you're in the Disney BBA weeds, but you should write an op-ed about your IVF journey, especially with everything going on. I can pitch it to blank. I'm working with them. If you're interested, I can even, help you craft it. So we get back from Bert's Big Adventure, and I said, hey, finally catching my breath after BBA. If the offer is still available, I'd be more than happy to write an op-ed. And she goes, let me pitch it and see what they say. I'll come back to you. And if they don't bite, I bet blank would do it. You just have such an important voice on this, which I very much appreciated. But at the same time, like when she sent the DM asking if this is something I wanted to do. Yes, this is going through infertility was a very private journey, but it was one I was willing to share because I felt it was important to talk about. Because so many people, 1 in 6 actually, deal with fertility struggles. And I think this is more common. And the more we talk about it, the more understanding and empathy those who don't go through it can have. And when this ruling happened some weeks ago, I was appalled. And I contemplated bringing this to the Bert Show, and I'm going to be honest, I'm very sheepish right now and almost embarrassed. You have to weigh in what we do for a living, and we talk about a lot of stuff, and there are certain things that you're going to get pushback on. And sometimes it's just easy to keep it superficial and not get into some really hard topics, which is a ruling like this, that frozen embryos can be considered children. And especially a person like myself who has gone through IVF not once or twice. And when Mara sent that, I had to check myself because it's like, I don't want to put myself out there like that. I don't want to put myself out there for the backlash because I know what kind of rhetoric is going to be out there, and the pro-life, pro-choice, et cetera. Those are some murky waters to wade into. And I wanted to take the easy way out, if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, and just not even indulge or engage because I didn't want to have to deal with it. But now here I am. And I'm willing to say that I want the government out of my uterus. As somebody who went through IVF not once but twice, who dealt with the pain of having a biochemical pregnancy the first round, of going through the shots and the hormones and the egg retrieval surgeries, and then getting 6 eggs, and then those, being fertilized, and then only 3 taking, and then only 2 making the blastocyst, and watching those numbers dwindle. And then finally going in and implanting one, and then thinking you're pregnant, and then a week later them calling and telling you your numbers have tanked and you're not. It was a biochemistry, and feeling the weight of the world just crash down on your shoulders, and then having to do it all over again, and being so grateful that I have a supportive partner, and going through the shots again, and the roller coaster of emotions, and those are my embryos. I did all that work. That was my blood, sweat, tears, and pain. And you do not get to tell me what to do with my frozen embryos. And so this ruling hit me like a ton of bricks. And for people, that may say, well, you were so upset. And I shared all of this after the fact on the air. You were so upset when you when you didn't have that first successful transfer and you lost that baby, you know? I wasn't mourning the death of a baby. I was mourning the death of a dream. I understand that embryo is a clump of cells, okay? And what I wanted it to be more than anything was a baby, but that was not in the cards. The second go round, it was. So, you know, I want to do some more research. I now understand where this is coming from. And I think they took such a leap into an accident that happened to one couple. And now they're, you know, grasping and making this sweeping generalization for the fertility community. But the fact that, and I didn't have any leftover frozen embryos because that I wasn't able to produce as many. So, but for anybody that does have frozen embryos, for the government to come in and tell you what you can and can't do with those, I think it's appalling.
So I don't have enough of an education to feel as passionately or speak in an educated way about it. So I'll just comment on the first thing that you were saying is at the end of the day, this is our radio show is a popularity contest.
It is.
We get rated, right? So we're constantly weighing what to talk about, what not to. And quite honestly, culture has changed now. We're in such a PC environment that we really do have to weigh very heavily on what we talk about and what we not, but on what we don't. But I feel very strongly about this, that this show was put together starting 23 years ago with the idea that we were going to talk about things that we were passionate about. And there are a lot of morning shows that will keep it very PC, and there's a beautiful place for that. Absolutely. That's not the kind of show that we've done. We walk a pretty good line here, but when we're passionate about something, we will talk about it.
Can you tell I'm a little bit passionate?
Not at all.
And
just a little bit passionate about this.
And it's an important one for you. So this is the kind of show that we do, and this is the kind of show that we have done. So don't feel embarrassed by that. You're not letting us down because you're talking about something that is so controversial.
Well, I was letting myself down for not having brought it up and talked about it.
I understand that. And we're all very, very sensitive to what we talk about on the show. But this is what separates us from other shows. And there are a whole bunch of others that you can listen to and you won't hear anything like that. And it certainly has its place. But that's not what we are.
And I'm trying to do, because I don't like to talk about things that I'm not properly educated on, right? I feel like it's best sometimes to keep your mouth shut or just to ask questions. So, I'm not going to say I did I'm not going to say I did research because I don't consider Googling some articles research. Research is designated for scientists. I've read some articles online about what's going on here. And it's just, when I look at everything at a whole and what's going down and what could potentially happen in other states, and that this is where the focus is right now when there are so many children who are here that needs the government's assistance and programs and, I feel like the government is letting us down in a lot of these areas, but instead they choose to focus on this and pass this. It's infuriating.
I respect your opinion on it, ma'am, and it's a brave decision to go for it. And if this is what you're passionate about, do your thing.
Thank you.
The Bert Show.